Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. Man, it was rough. Just got through doing 3 videos, and then I was doing some TikToking because there's some stuff on TikTok that I also want to show you. And I think that's where I'm going to start if I can pull it up in time. Not if I can pull it up in time. If I can get to it just like I know I should be able to get to it as we speak. Anyway, welcome aboard. AVQ, number 1 in the house today. He came in from Brooklyn, New York. Coming in number 2 it's Senor Paul Fleming from Powder Springs, Georgia. Numero 3, we had Patrick Magner, who's calling me. He says, meow. How you doing, my dear brother Patrick Magner? We also have in the house, para ver, Bruce Pollard from Kingwood, Texas. By the way, Patrick is from Houston, Texas. Let's see, AVQ is from Brooklyn, New York. And we have Bruce Pollard from Kingwood, Texas in the house as well. And Yvette Avery Herodor, beautiful. Yvette is from Atlanta, Georgia. And we have our beautiful Bridge MCP from Binghamton, New York. And we have our beautiful Joanna from Los Angeles, California. And we have in the house as well Eric Hayes, our handsome MAGA, un poco trastornado en la mente, but he's still a friend. Eric Hayes from Kingwood, Texas. And we have Melanie Keelan, la preciosa, mi hermana de Barcelona, Spain in the house. Anyway, we're going to have a great show for you today. Let me get started with Common Dreams. Literally eat SHIT. Supreme Court strikes down EPA clean water rule. The right-wing U.S. Supreme Court on Tuesday overturned federal rules regulating the discharge of water pollution, weakening the Clean Water Air Act in an unusual case in which one of the country's greenest city found itself at odds with the Environmental Protection Agency. The High Court ruled 5-4 San Francisco Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA limitations, or rather San Francisco versus Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA limitations banning discharges that cause or contribute to violations of water quality standards or an overreach of the agency's statutory authority. Waterkeeper Alliance CEO Mark Wagner bit the Power and Clean Water Act is being undermined, weakening protection for our waters and limiting EPA's ability to safeguard the public health and environment. That is rather stupid. The Supreme Court has set a dangerous precedent that could compromise the safety of our rivers, lakes, and drinking water. This ruling undermines decades of progress. You know what they're going to? You know why they passed this one, though, Radnin? What's the name of the city again? What's the name of the city? San Francisco versus Environmental Protection Agency. That liberal city. Do you see that? How whoever it is that filed that suit doesn't understand in these political times that suit should never have been brought? Ridiculous. Trump to revoke legal status of 240,000 Ukrainians as U.S. steps up deportation. Trump's administration is planning to revoke temporary legal status of some 240,000 Ukrainians who fled the conflict. You know what that proves? That kind of proves that Trump, well, I am not going to go there, but I want you guys to do some deep thinking about Trump revoking the immigration status of Ukrainians. And he's serving 2 purposes there. I want you guys to think deep about this. Ukrainians, Haitians, and we used earlier how quick America was willing to accept Ukrainians' status. We did that. I want you all to think deeply, and then I want somebody to call me at the end of the show and tell me what you think about Trump and the Ukrainian issue going forward. I want you to tell me about that. And remembering all the other shows that we've had. All right. We also have Bridge MCP saying, Egberto, Willies, we need to show the amount. And yes, Eric will say they all do it. No. Here is the government waste. Look how much it costs us taxpayers for a golf game at Mar-a-Lago. $3.8 million per trip. This does not include all his rallies. Unbelievable. He fires the people that live hand to mouth and expects us all to be up with this. He went 438 times while in office last term. It cost Americans $1.481 billion for his golf games. No, nobody spends that money on golf games. No president has ever done that before. That's almost 25,000 employee salaries at $60K a year. Sick, and no other president ever cost that amount. Again, that needs to go up in a big meme. Bridge, send that to my direct, to my text, please. I don't want to forget, and I don't want to get off track right now. Let's see. Paul Fleming says, Chris Murphy, CT, Trump is specifically targeting research programs. He wants to compel universities to only engage in conservative speech. He wants to kill liberal speech, and then he's going to start to turn it back on in red states. He's going to turn it back. Look, we're going to cripple that. Forget that crap. I get that. Anyway, let's see. Lee the Bearcat from Austin, Texas is in the house as well. Let's see what else we got here. Para ver. All right, let me see if I can go ahead and find that TikTok that I really want to. Thank you very much, Bridge. I want to play a particular TikTok to show that, the buffoonery, or to show how dumb our guy, what's his name? There are two things that I'm going to use to show that, how dumb Musk really is. But the first one I want to show is, let's go to my profile, is this analysis that this, look like a regular average guy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show this video on the screen. And then I want you guys to look at it and share this, by the way, okay? It's important that we share these things. We must share these things that show that these guys are nothing more than buffoons. Anyway, let's go ahead and bring the brother in, and then we'll take it on the other side. Let's go and do that now.
Musk is a fraud, and I can prove both of those things mathematically. So the 1.3 trillion immediately made me suspicious, and I knew that valuation was bullshit. So I started asking questions. How should Tesla stock be evaluated? I pulled comparable companies. First, I had to identify what it even was. Is it a car company? Is it a tech company? Is it a government contractor? The only reason I included that is because they get a lot of government handouts. Like 2 billion of that 18 billion was them selling carbon credits. Basically, they got government handouts and then they sold those to other companies. Think of it like selling your food stamps. What jumps out at us? Well, first, we see that revenue is pretty consistent with an auto company. We also see that the profit, again, pretty consistent. The aberration is that number there when you compare it against the market caps. It more closely aligns with tech. Problem is that its revenue doesn't come remotely close. Its profit isn't in the same stratosphere. Well, except for Nvidia, the bubble that burst yesterday. In order to help me kind of visualize this data, I created a ratio, and this ties my market cap to revenue, market cap to profit, and I created a ratio. And you'll see that this ratio, again, more closely aligns with tech. Profit, again, aligns with tech than it does with the auto industry, of which it is actually a part. So I was like, I need a larger sample size. So I pulled up every car company on the planet. These are your major auto manufacturers. What you'll see is Tesla doing very average, very standard auto numbers. Very standard auto numbers. What the fuck is that? that number. These numbers are based on actual units moved. That's how much they sold. That's how profitable it was. That number's fucking imaginary. The market determines that number. Who's the market? Billionaires. Again, I tied this to a ratio. And guess who comes up dead fucking last? Because again, their valuation is not consistent with the industry that they're in. I pulled the average of all these numbers and I got a mean revenue to market cap of 2.745. And then I did the same thing over here from profit and I got 0.353. Whenever you take these ratios and you tie it back to Tesla's revenue and profit, this is its corrected market cap. This is what Tesla would be worth if it was being evaluated like it was an auto company. The problem is it's not. Now, if we do him a solid and we give him the larger company valuation, $51 billion, that would put his 13% ownership stake being valued around $6.5 billion, which doesn't even put him remotely close to the conversation of the world's richest man. How does he get to call himself the richest man on the planet? Well, that's because the next three largest owners are Vanguard, State Street, BlackRock. They collectively have enough buying power across every market to be able to say that this is what this stock is worth. Ultimately, it's self-serving because they own the stock they're inflating. But the flip side is they get to prop up a vocal thought leader who is willing to advocate for capitalism to its most extreme. And they've propped him up like if they call him the richest man on the planet, then surely he's got to be a genius. Otherwise, how could you be the richest man on the planet? And you get this figurehead that attempts to keep the masses aligned with the interest of the ruling class. I do want to point out that all of those numbers that you see, I did those before the bubble burst on Monday. So you're seeing like just how fast tech is unraveling already, just with the release of DeepSeek. I can understand why you would think about shorting this stock. I would advise against that. This is not Enron where it's a scam company, but everybody was making a bunch of money off of it. So they kept it as long as possible. This is a real company. It is just really misvaluated. It has been purposefully, artificially inflated. It is a bubble, but it's closer to this level of market collusion is closer to housing bonds whenever the market would not properly price mortgage-backed securities in the wake of the housing crisis and everybody defaulting on their mortgages. It's the most obvious emperor has no clothes situation. And I'm not even an economist. I'm just a hillbilly who had the audacity to look up the numbers. If you see a different pattern in the numbers, by all means, feel free to try to articulate the pattern that you're seeing. Maybe I'm wrong, but from what it looks like, it's a bubble. The emperor is butt ass naked. And I don't know that we'll be able to do anything about it because he's insulated by stupidity. It will be people who dead ass know that he's not wearing clothes, know that you know he ain't wearing clothes, and then are going to argue with you that he's wearing the finest silks. He gets to call himself the richest man on the planet because we're the dumbest fucking people on the planet. I swear to God. So Tesla's a bubble.
Now, why did I go ahead and put this TikToker on, Mr. Eric? Because he actually shows the numbers that I could go verify a couple and say, oh my God, this guy is actually correct. It turns out that, well, you all know that I have expressed to all of you that the stock market is nothing more than a bumbling fraud. The stock market has no rationale whatsoever. If a company's market value is a few trillion, let's just take a look at a good company, Microsoft. And you look at the valuation of Microsoft, and then you look at all the hard assets that Microsoft has, and you look at technology, you look at it, so that number is just an imaginary number that people are willing to pay for it. So all of this stuff is figments of people's imagination. But even in a market system, in a stock system where a lot of that is a figment of people's imagination, the valuation that my hillbilly brother was able to show was that not even in this fraud, right? Can we actually look at Elon Musk's valuation in Tesla and think it is real? And what this guy has shown is that, wow, this guy is just an imaginary billionaire, somebody who claims to own all, to be the richest person in the world. Not true. And one of the things that I wanted to point out is that he's not very smart. He's a guy living on the corporate dole, right? You have to remember that he got rich because companies had to buy green credits. In other words, they had to buy credits for polluting the air. So all they did is, what Elon Musk did is sold billions of dollars every year in credits to the different car companies, allowing them to build dirtier cars. Okay. Let's see. Alistair Waters says, let the name calling begin, right? Eric is never consistent in everything. When you say something truthful, he calling names, but he gets the opportunity to call names at will, right? Anyway, Egberto could do it, but how much would you believe his facts, Eric? Look, again, what I like to do as well is I want these TikTokers that are out there to get, to go ahead and the other people see them who are otherwise wouldn't have seen them. But yeah, I could do all these numbers as well. Absolutely so. All right, folks. Our good friend AOC also showed, she did two things with this next video that I'm going to show. She showed that her GOP colleagues are nothing more than lapdogs to Donald Trump and Elon Musk. And she also showed that Elon Musk is not all that smart. Let's take a look at it, and then we'll take it on the other side. For a long time, I've been talking about Elon Musk is not all that smart. If you take a look at the work that even his crew is doing with Doge, they are constantly lying. And it's not only that they're constantly lying, they're constantly failing to find any substantive savings. And everything that they find, it turns out they didn't know what they were looking at. Again, they're not very smart, nor is Elon very smart. Later on, I'll show a piece where somebody went through Tesla, etc., and show that he's neither the richest man in the world if he were evaluated the way it should. But that's beside the point. I want you to listen to how Elon Musk got Congress a bipartisan agreement that they had ready to pass. He stifled it, but not only did he stifle it, but later on, AOC finds out that he didn't even understand the entire concept that he was stifling, just showing that he's just another oligarch money bag that is getting instruction from some hidden other oligarch to stop PMB. So I want you to listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
All of our support for folks following at home. Democrats supported it. Republicans supported it. So why isn't this moving? It's not because there's no substance for it. All four witnesses testifying today are in support of it. Republicans are in support. Democrats are in support. So what happened? Well, on December 17th at 4:15 in the morning, Elon Musk began firing off a barrage of social media posts opposing pharmacy benefit manager reform, PBM reform. And all of a sudden, this bill that had almost unanimous support fell apart in a matter of hours. And the vote was postponed on that day. After he tweets, it gets canceled. Elon Musk tweets, we have nearly 435 members of Congress all on board of it. He sends one tweet and all of a sudden everyone backs off. And it kills drug pricing reform that saves people money on their insulin, on their asthma inhalers, on everything that they need. And then to kick it off, 5 days after he kills pharmacy benefit manager reform, we get this tweet from Elon Musk. What is a pharmacy benefit manager? This was at 1:02 a.m. on December 31st of 2024, 5 days or so, a couple days after he kills the bill. So the problem here is not a substance issue. It's not a process issue. It's an oligarchy issue. It's a power issue. And this room is where the power of the people of the United States reside. Whether you're a Democrat or you're a Republican, everyone here was elected to be accountable to the people of the United States, not to be governed by tweet, but to be governed by their duly elected representation. And so we can get this done because there are more of us than there are of him. So I would love a commitment from our Republican counterparts who we agree with on this issue to just put it on the floor and let us vote for it where there is bipartisan agreement and we can actually get a result of for the American people by booting this guy out from political influence. And with that, I yield back.
So there you have it. We have somebody that stopped a program that he didn't even know what it was all about. That is Elon Musk, somebody that isn't very smart, but gives a semblance of being smart after having been a welfare queen where his companies raked in billions from you, the taxpayer. And then he looks at you and say, I'm going to cut this, I'm going to cut that, I'm going to cut this, when he lived on the dole his entire life. Back to the screen. Let's see what we got for the screen from Bridge MCP. It says the following. All right. The Lincoln Project, folks, we're just a few weeks away from, I don't know who Elon Musk is. Cal Cheney, news. Trump abruptly assembled his cabinet today to let them know Elon Musk is not in charge of hiring, firing. They are. It was an abrupt admonition that appeared aimed at the mounting legal scrutiny of Musk's power over the government. Not only that, I mean, you have to remember he made a mistake in the state of in the presidential the news where he actually said, Elon Musk is in charge. He actually said it. So the reason he ran to say that is so that he can have some cover when the judging comes or when somebody attacks him. All right, let's see what else we got here. What else have we got here? Hey, Berto, for a moment you sounded like you were slowed down. It's good now. Thank you, my brother. That was a little problem. For a moment, the podcast sounded chopped and screwed. Okay, I think we fixed it. All right, let's see. Bridge says Trump allies hold secret talks with Zelensky, Ukrainian opponents, as Washington ramps up its pressure on Zelensky to step aside. His rivals are talking to Trump's teams. Oh, really? Really now? Top Trump allies hold secret. You see what the American government likes to do all the time? To try to create and bolster takeovers and coups and all of that overseas. Then we complain, right? Anyway, as well, I want to tell you that Paul Fleming points out something important that just came over the wire. And it says, U.S. judge reinstates Democratic Labor Board member fired by Trump. That is important news for the Labor Relations Board. Very, very important. Barbara Wills is in the house from Michigan. Hi, Barbara. How are you doing? Barbara Wills, you need to check out some of her writings on Substack. I think this is a Barbara Wills from Substack. Is that correct? The one who write those great articles? Let me know if that's you, Barbara, so that and if it's you, go ahead and throw the link to your Substack in the chat, please. I'm assuming that it is you. All right, so the NLRB, or not NLRB, can get back to the NLRB can get back to business now. that we should have quorum on that. Jay Ray says, I want to call in to answer your questions about Ukrainian immigrants. Please call in right now. I have another video, but I got time for you to call in and tell me that, Jay Ray. Call in and let me see if you get it. Or not if you get it, because I don't know if there's a right answer, because we're both going to be speculating. But call in, let's hear it. Let's hear what your thoughts are about Trump and those folks. Let's see what else we got here that I need to read. Para ver, ¿qué más está aquí? ¿Qué más está aquí? Scrolling down for your calls. Breaking, President Trump is ready to sign an executive order that calls for the closure of the Department of Education. Yeah, I read that. I think, listen, West Virginia will have something to say about that. Because the amount of kids in West Virginia, I think it's a state that has the highest per capita for the lunch programs, etc. Hey, Ray, if you're going to call now before I do my other video. Anyhow, I think it's going to be hell because West Virginia, Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, they need the Department of Education more than any other state for the different programs that they have in school for the population that's in need in those states. Okay? All right, we have The Guardian. Gwynne Wilcox was the first member of the National Relations Board to be removed by a U.S. president since the board's inception in 1935. The framers of the U.S. Constitution made it clear that no one in our system of government was meant to be king, the president included, and not just in name only. Agreed. All right, let's see. That's Ray calling in. All right, Ray, talk to me.
Yeah, I want to thank you for putting that TikToker up because, we need to get more hard facts delivered in the manner that he delivered them, because sometimes hearing it, I love your voice, Egberto, but sometimes it don't resonate with everybody. And
let me stop you right there, Ray. Ray, I want to stop you right there and I want all of you to give Bridge MCP a big hand. Bridge MCP told me once, she said, love you talking, but just you talking out of your voice is not enough. And she made me, and like I said, all of you guys are the ones who run this program. You as well, my dear brother. You all give me ideas. Bruce Pollard has given me ideas as far as tonality. Rudnin has given me ideas as far as how to handle MAGA to some extent. Breach FCP definitely has done that. All of you.
Thank you, Breach.
All of you. This is an interactive thing where you form a part. And I started looking at more things to come out and put on the screen from other people. So you're absolutely right for noting that. So I'm going to give Breach the first seat on that one, and I'm going to give you the second seat on this one this time because she's got to me first.
Okay. Well, fair enough, Breach. We worked on him and we moving him where we need him to be. But no, you're doing a fantastic job. I love your format. I just love being able that I can call in. So that alone, is priceless. And trust me, when I go back and look at
the calling in is yet another person, Bruce Pollard. He told me, yes, Egberto, go get that system. And if I'm not mistaken, he gave a great donation for us to start doing this stuff on the on the phone. Isn't that right, Bruce? Answer if you're there. You're still there. All right, let me hear you, my brother.
I thought he was on the phone.
No, I'm talking about you.
Okay, yeah. So I was thinking, this is the scenario I'm painting in my head about the whole Ukrainian thing. If a lot of people have a short memory, Ukraine was the whole reason behind Trump getting impeached, numero uno. Okay, so
yes.
If you follow the timeline, you look at what happened. Trump got impeached, lost the presidency. You think he actually forgot what happened then? No, he is petty and he is vindictive. And I know in my heart of hearts, when you hear my voice, when I know he looked at Zelensky in that Oval Office, he said, "Aha, your mother lover. I told you I was gonna get you in the end. Now I have the cards and you have none. Ha ha. It's like, you got me impeached. Now you going to pay for it. I'm going to make sure you suffer and your people suffer. And Putin is getting everything he wants because you got me in trouble. He's like the high school. He's like the elementary school bully. He's basically bullying Zelensky because he's mad that Zelensky got him in trouble for not getting the aid for Ukraine back when he was the president. That's my whole theory on why he's giving that man such a hard time.
I agree with you 100%. That's why he's giving Zelensky a hard time. But then why return these people? Remember, let me give you a few things here. Donald Trump is giving asylum to white South Africans who he says are under duress because South Africa is starting to recover unused lands from the settlers who originally stole the land. That's number one, right? Ukraine never had a problem, or the people of Ukraine could come into America, no problem. And even under Trump, there was no issue out of it. But there's one thing, the Ukrainians themselves support Zelensky. And in supporting Zelensky, Donald Trump superseded his own prejudices because it's amazing that one issue, it's always about Trump. It is always about Trump. So, I mean, I found it astounding that these people that he was willing to accept, he suddenly decided on them. But all of it, I think, breaks down exactly from the statement that you made. He has a long memory, and it doesn't matter who you are, what you are. If you harm me, I'm coming to get you. And what I heard on another news program recently was, and for that same reason, Netanyahu better watch his back. Continue, my brother.
Yeah. Yeah, and about Elon Musk, I'm really tired of hearing him. I was watching another podcaster. I'm not going to say who, but, I watch a lot of podcasts, and the specific podcaster was bringing up the fact that Elon Musk and Joe Rogan, their bromance is so sickening. It's like, first of all, Joe Rogan, you've done enough for this country with, endorsing that I don't even know what word. There's so many words that come to mind. Idiot, but anyway, your platform gave him a voice, and now you're giving Elon a voice. And all I hear, like when I listen to them talking on the podcast, and this podcaster highlights it, they sound so dumb. It's like, oh, bro, yeah, Social Security is like a Ponzi scheme. Oh, bro, and it's like all this BS. You know nothing about what Social Security is. And as a matter of fact, if it is a Ponzi scheme, you're not going to do anything to fix it. But that's a lie. My daddy's on Social Security, and God bless all these people out here. God bless Al Green for, fighting for Medicaid as well. All these things that help the poor and often people of color. Those are the things that are all of a sudden wasteful. Well, and that's what I want to bring forth. I'm going to end on this.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm going to end on, when you hear waste and fraud, just assume that it's a program that's helping a large majority of Americans who are either poor or were disenfranchised in the past, and it finally gave them a leg up in the society that didn't want them in the first place.
I found a very intelligent TikToker that I sent an email to, because I actually don't want to just show her TikTok. I want to put her on air both here and on KPFT. I hope she responds, but I know they get. She pointed out something similar to what you just said, but she also brought in the 40 acres and a mule. She brought home the Homestead Act and all these different issues that I think a lot of us need to hear and a lot of us need to see. So I'm trying to reach her. Again, I'm trying to reach a whole lot of folks to bring, to sort of expand the horizon of what we're doing. So just rest assured that I'm working on those particular issues, Brother Ray. And look, thank you for calling in. I have another video that I want to go ahead and put out there about the Trump lies and then about Stacey Abrams. And I just have about just the right amount of time to do those last two videos. All right?
All right. Well, let me get off here and you keep it rolling. Take care.
Thank you, my brother. Have a great day. All right. Our brother Eric Hayes buys into the right-wing propaganda about $2 billion going to Stacey Abrams. And it got so, you know how sick and devoid of intellect on the right, when their president comes up with actually uses one of their right-wing theories in a national speech that has international implications. But what can I say? Let me just play this and then we'll take it on the other side. Trump and his right-wing lying machine created this big internet meme talking about Stacey Abrams, the great politician who actually ran for governor in Georgia. Oh, she somehow got $2 billion from the EPA grant that came under the Biden's Inflation Reduction Act. Oh, she is, they tried to insinuate the Doge people that somehow Stacey Abrams got a wasteful $2 billion from the EPA. Of course, it was all false. It was always false. I mean, it is such silly to believe that some one person could get $2 billion anyhow, right? But that's what we have. Well, you know what? The truth of the matter is that Donald Trump put that in a State of the Union speech, well, a presidential speech, that is. It is not only shameful, I think she should go after him for lying. Now, PolitiFact went ahead and looked at this as well, and they pointed out, if you take a look at it, it was rated completely as what again? There it goes. False. But not only is it false, it turns out that she had nothing to do with the group who actually got the grant to do good work. But she must pay because she was a counsel for a group that did nothing wrong, but that somehow had a grant that would have granted them up to $2 billion. Well, you have to call these things out immediately. These things, and first let me just make sure to show you the rating. The rating for this the ruling was, again, completely false. Pants on fire type of false. That's not a true rating. Now, what I love with what Stacey did is Stacey came and she made herself, went on social media and called it out so that itself can get some traction. I want you to listen to her and then we'll take it on the other side.
In last night's State of the Union, President Trump attacked me personally. To be honest, it was unexpected, but not a surprise. Because this is exactly what petty tyrants do. But let me be clear. Donald Trump and his lackeys aren't attacking me because I've done something wrong. They're attacking me because I've done something right. Republicans in Georgia and in the White House are terrified of voter engagement and the power of the people. Why? Because they're failing to deliver on their promises to protect and defend Americans. Trump and his complicit Republicans want to distract from their failures by targeting those of us who have the audacity to stand up and demand more. They're scared of us because we actually fight for the people, because we believe in we the people. They're afraid that we will show Americans and the world what's right, not through insult, but through action. And yes, we've taken action. We've registered and turned out thousands of Georgians. We've lowered energy prices for the working class and tackled the climate crisis that is gripping every part of our country. That's why they're abusing their power to come after me, because we've shown we can deliver. Independent fact checkers have repeatedly called these attacks false, but the lies are the point. This isn't a new strategy. It's the common playbook of authoritarians and authoritarians in waiting. And while I might be one of the first targets for their abuse of power, I will not be the last. That's why we must not back down. Our country, our people, and our future are worth fighting for. And as I've always said, when we fight, we win. So how do we fight back in this moment? First, we have to call out lies when they spew them. We can't give them a pass. We have to forcefully, consistently push back. Second, we have to organize louder, smarter, and together. They want us silent, discouraged, and divided. Instead, we show up, we mobilize, and we bring more people into this movement to deliver for the people. Third, we engage. They wouldn't work so hard to suppress our voices if our votes didn't matter. So we register, we turn out, and we remind them that the power still belongs to the people and that the government must serve the people, not the other way around. This fight isn't just about me. It's about all of us. And if we stand together, I promise you, we win.
Now, exactly. The reason why they are coming after her is because she is impactful, because she is showing all Americans that they can be impactful if they are simply engaged. And that's what they fear, the engagement of such a person like that is relentless. And that Stacey Abrams is relentless in pursuing democracy for all, pursuing that. Absolutely so. And the last video of the day that I have is on the numbers. We don't expect sycophants to understand or to look at the numbers. Again, they are in a different strata altogether. But there are people who just are getting malinformation that can be fixed when they're given the proper information. And here we go. Right after Trump's speech, I gave a quick fact check, both from Rachel Maddow, as well as some of the things that I pointed out in the narrative that I gave along with that program. But today, Steve Ratner did it in chart form, not just on the basic lies, but on tariffs and budget and economy and many other facets. I want you to watch this, because this is going to show the extent to which there was nothing truthful about Donald Trump's speech. And not only that, it puts, it actually gives those who follow him a perspective that must be changed. Check this out and we'll take it on the other side.
Taking a closer look at President Trump's joint address to Congress, Steve Ratner is back.
We're seeking permanent income tax cuts all across the board. And to get urgently needed relief to Americans hit especially hard by inflation, I'm calling for no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security benefits for our great seniors. Want to make interest payments on car loans tax deductible, but only if the car is made in America.
Steve, you say that's impossible to do with the House Republicans' budget proposal.
Yeah, look, Trump hands out tax cuts like they were Halloween candy, but then at some point, you got to deal with the reality of what that all adds up to. So let's take a look at the reality. The chickens are coming home to roost on that. So he's talking about no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime, no tax on tips, no tax on interest loans on cars made here. These are billions and billions of dollars of tax cuts. Simply extending his existing tax cuts, the ones that he passed in 2017, down here would cost over $4 trillion. The House Budget Committee has only allocated $4.5 trillion for all the tax cuts. So you could do this, which he's completely committed to, but how the rest of this happens, including a full deduction of the state and local taxes, it is impossible. This is almost $8 trillion worth of tax cuts. So this is an empty promise. Can't happen, won't happen.
One of the things that drew, let's say, shock, surprise, some mockery from the address the other night was President Trump, given what you've laid out there, promising to balance the budget. Here's that moment from the address.
And in the near future, I want to do what has not been done in 24 years, balance the federal budget. We're going to balance it.
Well, first of all, in his first term, he planned not only to balance the budget, but to pay off all the national debt. That didn't work so well. He added a ton of national debt. But let's look at how it isn't going to work this time. So we are looking in what we call a base case without anything else happening. We are looking at deficits a bit below $2 trillion, going all the way up to $3 trillion over the next 10 years. A total already, these dark green bars, of $20 trillion of additional debt. The budget plan that I just described would add another roughly $2.5 trillion of debt. So instead of balancing the budget and paying down the debt, he's creating more deficits, all these deficits, and adding $22.5 trillion to the debt.
And Trump addressed tariffs the other day and said they would be positive for the auto industry.
Deals are being made. Never seen. That's a combination of the election win and tariffs. It's a beautiful word, isn't it? That, along with our other policies, will allow our auto industry to absolutely boom. It's going to boom. Spoke to the majors today, all three, the top people, and they're so excited.
Well, he may think it's a beautiful word. He may think the auto industry is going to boom. Neither the auto companies nor the stock market see it that way. So here's a chart of stock prices for Ford and General Motors since the inauguration day compared to the overall market. The overall market we know has come down, still up here. Ford and General Motors kind of went off a cliff after inauguration, down 10% for General Motors, about 7.5% for Ford. And here's a quote from the Ford CEO before yesterday: tariffs will blow a hole in the industry that we have never seen. And so he said in his speech just now that he had spoken to all three automakers and they were happy. Well, a day later, they called the White House and said, no, we're really not so happy. We need you to at least pause these tariffs and hopefully get rid of them.
So Trump also touched on how tariffs, a different set of tariffs, may affect America's farm workers.
Trade policy will also be great for the American farmer. I love the farmer. Who will now be selling into our home market, the USA, because nobody is going to be able to compete with you.
Well, he may love the farmers. I'm not so sure they love him at the moment. Let's just go back to Trump 1 for a second, because he also put tariffs on, as you remember then, and there were retaliatory tariffs. In 2018 and 19, the government collected a total of $50 billion from all the tariffs that we imposed on things coming into this country. We then gave back $24.5 billion to the farmers to compensate them for their lost exports. So that did not go so well. Let's see why. We export a huge amount of soybeans, 7.7 billion, and even more of corn, 13.1 billion. We export virtually none of it. So if we lose these exports, this stuff stays in the American market. Americans are already buying all the soybeans and corn they want to buy. So I don't really see how this is great for American farmers, how this sort of allows them to, quote, sell things at home when we're already selling everything we can at home and sending the rest of it overseas as one of our major exports.
Also the other night, slammed U.S. aid to Ukraine during his address to Congress.
We've spent perhaps $350 billion, like taking candy from a baby. That's what happened. And they've spent $100 million. What a difference that is.
Before we get to your charts, we should note, of course, the next day, the Trump administration paused intel sharing with Ukraine. And what's happened since? Russia has only increased its bombardment of Ukrainian cities. Now, Ukraine tries to defend itself with less information.
One of the most weird and surprising ones, Jonathan. He's used those figures over and over and over again. He's been corrected by me and 100 other people over and over and over again, and he still keeps using it. So we'll try one more time. Maybe he's watching. Maybe someone will finally get him to say what is actually true. He claims $350 billion spent by the U.S. in Ukraine. The real number, $120 billion. And as you say, pause. And just to make a mention, the reason this line isn't as continuous as this line is because of huge fights in the U.S. over aid to Ukraine. A lot of opposition. Eventually, we did do it. Europe, $138 billion, more than us. Not $100 billion as he claimed. And by the way, Europe at the moment is putting together a massive amount of additional aid. And as you just alluded to, we are cutting back on what we are doing for the Ukrainians.
And lastly, President Trump touted Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency during its address.
We found hundreds of billions of dollars.
Well, it was kind of mind-numbing the other night to listen to Trump list those programs one by one that he's found, and you make fun of them and so forth. They were only in the millions of dollars. And when you actually add up everything Doge has claimed and also the Doge reality, you get to a very different picture. So on February 17th, Doge claimed that they had found $8.5 billion, not hundreds of billions, $8.5 billion of savings. I'm not going to go through this whole chart, but basically a bunch of that stuff just disappeared from their website, $2.7 billion here, for example. And when you get down to the bottom, at the moment anyway, all Doge is claiming is $2.3 billion from contracts that have been terminated and another $2.5 billion that they say they're in the middle of doing. And so $4.8 billion of total fraud, so-called fraud or contracts canceled, so forth, less than what they said at the beginning. And obviously just like the tiniest little fraction of what Trump claims they have found.
So as you can see, Ratner blew everything economic, tax-wise, tariffs-wise, out of the water. Donald Trump is a failure. What Donald Trump is attempting to do with the economy is a failure. To put it bluntly, it is nothing more than a grift. It'll fall by its own weight, but by the time it's fallen, he would have been gone with all the spoils. He would probably be living somewhere in the Riviera with all the money he had taken from his MAGA folks and from us all. Folks, we have got to wake up. This guy is not only petulant, this guy is just a clear and present danger to the entire, not just America, but the world. Absolutely so. Absolutely so. Welcome aboard, AC Rodriguez. Haven't seen you in a while, my dear brother, as well as, let's see, CG Marie. Gigi Marie, how are you doing? Where are you from, Gigi Marie? E2247, I don't think I saluted you either. Welcome aboard. Is there anybody else that I like to call people out when I see them in here, especially the first time? All right, let's see what else have we got here that I need to comment on before we close out, because we're near the end of the program. I think I have enough time for one call. If one person calls in, like right now, we can do a 1.5-minute call if you need to say something. AC Rodriguez, welcome aboard. Gigi, where are you from? Gigi, I'm curious. ¿De dónde eres? Maybe you don't even speak Spanish, right? All right. Anyhow, folks, please remember to support the program however you can. This is Politics Done Right, and we do a whole lot to make sure that we keep people informed from our radio shows, our internet shows, our blogs, articles, books, TikToks, the whole works. If you want to see all the different platforms that we are on, if you happen to go to politicsdoneright.com/info, we have a link to absolutely all our platforms. Maybe I'll show you what that looks like. I have that on the screen on the chat right now. But if you want to see what source now, so I hope you can hear me now. It's a completely different audio source, so I hope you hear me now. All right, as you can see, folks, please support the program however you can. And how do you support the program? You can support the program by going to politicsdoneright.com/newsletter, politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. And how do you get there? You can get there by clicking on this link in the chat. There we go. All right. I don't understand what just happened with the audio. I don't understand what just happened, but we'll figure that out. Maybe we just needed a reboot. Anyhow, folks, you can support the program. You can find all the different ways to support the program by going to politicsdoneright.com/support, politicsdoneright.com/support. Alternatively, what I'm asking all who have the ability to do so is please subscribe to our newsletter consider becoming a paid subscriber. That allows us to do all the things we need to do to make sure that we can get that progressive message out. I can't do this without you. But it is after 4, and I have some other folks that I need to go talk to. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you know how I end this baby. I am what? Out. We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.